Good afternoon, my information technology students, and welcome to our lecture. Today is the 22nd of April. It's a bright and sunny day in Durban, South Africa. It's about 1 o'clock and we start our lecture. So at the end of today's lecture, we're going to be talking about terms like the business process. And I'm actually repeating this for people like Eric, who joined us quite late, and there was another student, Mr. Shlongwe, and Mr. Maniram, who is not attending our lecture at this point in time. So a learning objective, Eric, I'm going to be mentioning your name all the time, Eric, because you are joining us for the lecture, and you missed out on a couple of my rules and regulations. And one of the rules in my class is I do not repeat a lecture, but I do record it so that you can access that at a later time. So the learning objective is business process. But Eric, you did mention your name and your age, and you are in a business environment, so you would be able to explain more to us about business process from a practical side of life. What are the different systems needed to support the business processes in an organization? That's an objective. The value of an ERP, an enterprise resource planning system. So yesterday I introduced you to a journal article, and in the journal article they were talking about the success factors in implementing an ERP system from a theoretical perspective. That journal article was written in the year 2000. We are in 2021, and we wanted to also look at and say, what happened in 2020 or 2000? Is it still applicable to 2021? What are some of the business process management and business processes? And there's this word, re-engineering work. Understand how, there's the big word, information technology, IT, combined with business processes can bring an organization its competitive edge. Right, so there's some revision here. What is a business process? It's a number of tasks that are completed to accomplish a goal. And any business, their goal is to make money, profit. Why? Because they have shareholders in the business, and the shareholders, their ultimate aim is to get dividends from it and to make money out of it. Now, that's what Mr. Hadebe, our web trader, would be doing on his Standard Bank account. He is buying and selling shares. And in order for him to do that, there would have had to have been some business environment set up, or some exchange rate or whatever. But there's a number of tasks that we need to complete in order to accomplish our goal. No business is out there to make a loss, right? We're not out here, we were out there to make money. A business, therefore, is a process that is focused on achieving a goal for a business. Processes are something that businesses go through every day in order to accomplish their mission and vision tasks. So here we are at a university. My mission and my vision and my aim and objective is one: I want to ensure that all of you pass with a good mark, a distinction, and ultimately you will get your qualification and out there and working, right? The better the processes, the more effective the business. Now that's what I'm talking about, this ERP system, this IT, information technology, okay? Documenting a process. The simplest way to document a process is to create a list. For example, we want to create an account on eBay. Now, this is the example that they have from the PowerPoint presentation, but Mr. Hadebe will tell you about the process that we did with WebTrader. He needed to have gone to www.standardbank.co.za. He clicked on WebTrader. Mr. Hadebe, you can stop me wherever I feel I'm making an error or you need to correct me. He went and filled in the username, details. He chose a password. He clicked on agree, and when he submitted the document. So hopefully you, Mr. Hadebe, would have gone through the practical components of the process. This is not good enough for some process. There's a diagram that we have to determine if a new term should be added to Wikipedia. Wikipedia, if you go and search on the net, Wikipedia is where you can add terms or definitions or some research that you can do. For example, in Wikipedia, do we have a this is a flow chart, a flow diagram. So from Wikipedia, you notice you're going down. Is it found? Yes. Think of another term. If it's not found, is there a related term? No. Then there's my IT concepts. Can you see if, then, else? Hopefully, you would have paid attention when you were doing the MATLAB certification, and now you'll see the value of doing that certification. Like Mr. Eric is going to submit his certification by the end of today. That's what he told me, right? He told me that yesterday. And when he does his MATLAB, he'll realize that here's an algorithm in MATLAB. In MATLAB, they're talking about selection statements. If, else, if, then, else, select, case. All right? Managing business processes, the documentation. The requirements to manage process documentation has been one of the driving forces behind the creation of the document management system. Now, we were talking about SAP ERP last week, Thursday. I did a little workflow example with you, and we created some documents. We created a customer with a customer account number, invoice. The customer had some details associated with it. For example, the delivery address, the customer's phone number, and so forth. All right? A document management system stores and tracks the documents and supports the following functions: the version and timestamp, approval, workflow, communication. A document management system notifies the appropriate people when a change to a document has been approved. ERP systems. Now, this is what this whole course is about. The course, the module descriptor says that I need to talk about ERP systems. Mr. Eric, it's a bit of a revision for the rest of you, but for Eric, it should be new. An enterprise resource planning system is a software application with a centralized database that can be used to run an entire company. Now, a database, for those of you who have completed the MATLAB certification, a database is actually made up of files. Files are made up of records. Records are made up of fields. Fields are made up of characters. Characters are made up of bytes. Bytes are made of little bits. A bit is a binary digit. So if you have an idea of this concept of an information technology system, if you have a concept of a database, you will realize that a customer's name, for example, Eric, E-R-I-C, or let's say Nkosi, N-K-O-S-I, that would be a field in a record. That would be his surname. And another field in the record for this customer would be 2206407. That is Mr. Nkosi Eric's account number. Okay, in our case, it's a student number, right? But here we're talking, it's a account number. So if I had to have all the details related to Eric, for example, his name, his surname, his account number, which we know it's his student number, his home address, his cell phone number, which we know his cell phone number now, 061, whatever. I can't mention his name and his cell phone number because we're going to record it and post it on YouTube. But don't worry, Eric, the post on YouTube is unlisted, meaning only our students have access to the video on YouTube. All right, so don't panic, Eric. So now if we have all the information related to Eric, that becomes a record of Eric the customer, or record of Eric the student. If I had to place, excuse me, if I had to now place about 4 or 5 records, when I have Mr. Eric, Mr. Hadebe, Mr. Naya, Ms. Jagannath, and so forth, then we have a file of students that are working and dealing with ERP systems or information technology 5A, right? Now, if we have to consider all the files of all the classes, that would now become a database. So in this little picture that we have out here, we have what is known as a centralized database. Can you see the little picture that says, from the centralized database, we have sales, we have finance, we have business intelligence processes, we have a planning department, HR is the human resources, we have engineering, we have the accounts department, we have the purchasing department. All of them would access a centralized database. All of them will access the records associated with Eric. So if Eric was a customer and he was making a purchase, the sales department would now go and access the centralized database in order for me to access Eric's address, or to access Eric's telephone number, or to access the account status of Eric. For example, Eric may be a customer that pays his accounts on time, or maybe a customer that's defaulting. I hope, Eric, you're not like that, right? So that would be from a centralized process. The accounts department, once the invoice has been created or the delivery note has been made and processed, the accounts department would now want to process the account and bill Eric for his whatever products he bought. All data in an ERP system is stored in a single central database. Now you understand what a database is. Data is entered in one part of the company, can be immediately available to other parts of the company. So if we are to now talk about Eric having to change his cell phone number, Eric no longer likes to work with Cell C, or he's now going to MTN, and he changes the details, then what would happen is he now has access, or not only him, the accounts department, the HR department, the finance department, the inventory, whoever, they will have their Eric's latest cell phone number. Now, if you notice at DUT, we're not working on a centralized database. For me to have added Eric, I had to go to the Moodle site and I had to go and add him there. For me to put him onto Teams, I had to go onto Teams and add him out there. Then, let's say, for instance, now Eric has to change his details. Then I need to go and change it on Moodle, or I need to go and change it on MS Teams. That's not a very, very efficient way of working. An ERP system can be used to manage an entire organization's operations. Companies need to purchase modules for an ERP system that represents different functions within the organization. We'll talk about a customer management system or an inventory system or whatever the case might be. But those are the modules which we have done in previous PowerPoint presentations. ERP modules. When an ERP vendor designs a module, it has to implement the rules associated with the business process. And one of the vendors of ERP system is SAP, Systems Applications, right? We were talking about that. We mentioned that last week. The implementation of an ERP system is an excellent opportunity to improve their business practices. Just to give you a quick history, long ago, businesses worked in silos. There were a small number of businesses, small number of practices, not many transactions taking place in a day. It was all localized. We no longer have a situation like that. Business processes don't work in isolation. I remember Mr. Kumalo mentioning that he wanted to set up a computer company and he wants to sell a computer printer. Mr. Kumalo, am I right, Mr. Kumalo? Are you there? I did see your name pop up earlier on. Okay, so yes, you're there. Yeah, right. So, Mr. Kumalo, your computer business, you said that you needed to have interacted with a courier company. Did you make your connection with the courier company, Mr. Kumalo? Mr. Kumalo, yes. Your business, have you set it up? Oh, that's it, sir. Come on, Mr. Kumalo. Right, we have to start you up on a business now, Mr. Kumalo. We got Mr. Hadebe doing the web trading. We got Mr. Kumalo doing the computer business. We've got Mr. Eric taking a lunch break right now and listening to his lecture. So your practice in your business, you can implement it with software, right? What are some of the challenges? There we go. Is the process embedded in the ERP really better than the process that they are currently utilizing? Okay, take for granted that I am teaching you about ERP systems, and we won't be talking about a system that, listen, no one is implementing, no one is working with, or for that matter, it ultimately would say, hey, it's not worth doing, right? Can the company differentiate from its competitors if they use the same? Right, this is it now. Like I told you, the aim of any business is to make money, make profit. Why? They have shareholders that they are answerable to, and the shareholders want dividends on their stock purchases. If they don't like it and they don't feel that the business is working well, then they're going to sell off their shares. And then Mr. Hadebe, our web trader, is going to tell us that he's losing money. He can't make any money anymore because the business is that he invested in, their share prices have dropped. So if he initially bought shares at, let's say, $100, their share prices dropped because a competitor is offering a better service or a better product at a much cheaper rate, then you as a customer would move over to that side, right? Can ERP be customized to match a given organization? Now, this would be a bespoke, proprietary owned software that would be tailor-made to the customer's needs, the business needs. What are some of the vendors for ERP? I spoke about SAP, Microsoft, Oracle. These are vendors, right? And last week we actually played around with the SAP implementation, right? ERP and organizational value. ERP vendors combine a subset of ERP modules to offer applications with a high impact on the organization. And one of the most important ones is the CRM module, the Customer Relationship Management module. Now, last week, I told you about the Customer Relationship Management module, and I mentioned to you that my wife does online shopping. So she bought a product from Mr. Price. They delivered it to our home. She looked at it and she says, oh no, this outfit doesn't fit me very well. I'd like to return it. So this module must ensure that a customer who is not satisfied with the product is able to return the product, get a full refund, or let's say, for instance, that there's a defect on the product, that this customer must be able to log a complaint, and then they would be able to either refund her or get her another product or whatever the case might be, right? I think I mentioned to you about a chatbot where I went online, and here I was on the website, and someone asked me, I don't know who it is, but behind the scenes, the business it asked me, what's your cell phone number? So I gave them my cell phone number, and believe it or not, within a minute or two, they called me up, and they said, are you interested in buying this, whatever it was, right? Oh yes, now I remember, it was a handbag. You know, as a guy, we forget about birthday presents and all of that. So the day before, I asked them, please, Gopal's luggage, can I go? Went online to buy the product for them. So they called me up and they said, we don't have one at the Pavilion branch, but we do have one at the Gateway branch. Now he was able to tell me that because he's accessing his database of the product, and he's able to deliver. He took my details down, he took my home address, and believe it or not, the same day, well, I mentioned to him that the birthday is the following day. I was a bit delayed, and if you could please, at a fee, obviously do it for me quickly, ASAP, right? Another module would be the supply chain management system. By the way, I hope when I tell you these little stories that this is what sparks your memory when you're looking at the word or the letter CRM, Customer Relationship Management System, that you want to talk about how effective it is for a business to provide good customer service. ERP and customer relationship management systems. Customer relationship management allows the business to manage the company's interaction with the current and future customers. Now, let me tell you something about businesses. It's more easier for a business to retain its existing customer than to attract a new customer. I'll give you a typical example with me. I introduced you guys to Standard Bank website and the web trader. Now, when I was a student at university, many years ago, oh God, 30 years ago, I applied for a student account at Standard Bank, and they attracted me by stating they are not going to charge me bank fees. Now, to a student who doesn't have much money in their bank account, I will be attracted by something like that, right? So I opened an account with Standard Bank. And believe it or not, 30 odd years later, I'm still with them. Why? Because I bought a house and they offered me a home loan because I was with them. They gave me a preferential rate. So this is where I'm talking about a customer relationship management system. This module will have all its details about it. I think last week I also mentioned to you about Facebook and the hack that took place, where all the information, about 500 or 1,000 Facebook users, it was hacked into, and their location and the cell phone number and the email address was taken. So that was the Facebook users' accounts. And believe it or not, when you get a call center agent calling you up and saying, are you interested in taking a new cell phone contract? Are you so and so? Do you bank with Standard Bank? Do you have a Cell C account? They know all this information because, believe it or not, companies buy customers' information, right? Let's go talk about this. We are familiar with the CRM system from companies that we do business with. The car dealer letting you know that your car needs a service. Aha! Now I have a motor vehicle, and believe it or not, every year, well, the car little tells you, you're due for a service, but they'll also phone me up and say, you know what, your car is due for a service. Now they want to make money, and obviously I need to service my vehicle. They have about 3 or 4 dealerships in Durban and the surrounding areas. They want my business. So they keep on record that my car was last serviced in May of 2020. In May of 2021, it will be due for another service. Let me give you another example. They talk about Netflix, or in our case, DSTV as box office. And box office would advertise that a movie is being rented, or there's a voucher or a discount being offered, and they note that maybe I like all the romantic movies. That's what they're going to advertise for me. By the way, students, you must try this out. Go to Facebook and click on videos that you like. For example, let's say I clicked on classical music. You will notice a little while later that you will be bombarded with adverts or similar type of videos. So for example, my wife likes to watch all these pet movies or these pet little video clips. She was just telling me about an elephant and how the elephant, they were feeding the elephant. What will happen is the software, Facebook software or YouTube software, excuse me, would pick up that you have been clicking on videos about funny pets and dogs and cats. And they will now stream and bombard you with that kind of videos, right? So it begins to now be tailor-made for you, the customer. You'll also notice, if you don't have the premium edition of YouTube, as you're watching a YouTube video, somewhere along the line there will be an advert that comes along. It used to be very abrupt. All of a sudden the video will stop and then the advert will play. By the way, I noticed that it's only for these subscribers or these YouTubers that have very high number of hits. I noticed that they don't put an advert inside our information technology videos. Oh man. Any of you noticed that? Mr. Naya, Mr. Kamalo, Mr. Hadavia?
It happened, sir.
I did.
It happened.
Mm.
Oh,
There's no advert.
yay.
There's no advert. There's no advert.
Oh man, I want them to. Oops, I think I lost you for a few minutes there. Right, so hello, are we back online?
Yep.
Oops, sorry about that, right? Fortunately for me at home, we've got like 3 modems out here, so it switches over if data finishes on one. Right, now let me ensure that that modem is indeed working. I don't want to be out of data. Right. So they are talking about the customer relationship module, right? The CRM. Right. Now, there's a little video out there on YouTube. I wonder if I click on it, if it takes me to that video. Right, let's see, and I wonder if there'll be sound playing in the background. Yay, it is taking me to that video, but I notice it's not updating my screen. I wonder why.
Another department, such as customer service. Maybe we've extended it just a little bit further and used it in our marketing department. The fact of the matter is, CRM isn't just for one, two, or three departments. It can literally be used for any vendor. So here at Fast Solutions, we believe that if you have customers, you need CRM. So that every day that you go to work, you're not frustrated and looking for your customer information or data. But more so, when you go to work, you look like this, and you feel in control of your customer information and maybe even run your job. But I guess the question is how? How do we make this all possible? So let's start from the top. Let's look at the thing that matters most, our customer data. How is it currently being filed? Is it in a file cabinet in an organized folder structure? Or maybe we now use a Rolodex that sits on our desk? Or maybe we're solving simple blocking. Or maybe we're taking it a step further and we now use our computers or laptops and we use a software called Excel. But let's go back and answer the bigger question here. Where is all of this data stored instead? Is it on Billy's laptop from sales? Or maybe it's on Karen's desktop from marketing? So what do we do when Billy decides that you have to worry about everything?
Yay, I like that. Just out of curiosity, were you able to listen to the were you able to hear the video, or Mr. Mashipa?
The sound was very poor.
Very poor. I'm sorry about that. Okay.
There was no sound at all on my side.
Oh no. Okay, I gotta learn how to do this when I'm switching in between a lecture to a YouTube video. But were you able to read the captions? Hello?
Yes,
Part of
yes,
it.
yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. All right, great. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post the YouTube link for you. You know, as a lecturer, we've got to make our lectures exciting and use YouTube videos and all that goes with it. So that's why I try to do that. All right. So there's my YouTube video. I'm going to post that in the chat. And if you have some data to watch it for about 3 minutes or so, it explains to you very nicely, enlightens you about a customer and the need for a CRM module. All right. So we leave it at that. Let me go back to sharing my screen. And let's go to the next PowerPoint. What are some of the advantages of a CRM system? It allows you to track the goals and metrics for the sales, the marketing, and the customer services. I think I gave you an example now about how I like to watch classical music videos, or let's say, for instance, if my wife likes to watch pet videos, you see that. It begins to have a greater customer retention, meaning if I note that Facebook is going to send me videos of pet videos, you want to go to YouTube and watch the video, or Facebook and watch it out there, right? If Volvo service phones me up and they ask me, if I got a service, or they tell me that there's a discount, can I go and do a service on the car? And even though my car's out of warranty, I probably stick with them, right? Increases profitability because the business side is now retaining the customer. You identify who are your customers. For example, if I'm a Volvo driver, Volvo customer service, every year without fail, they'll call me up. Are you satisfied with your car? Are you not interested in changing your vehicle? We have the following available for you. If you buy now, we're giving you a discount. If you buy this motor car, we'll throw in an extra spare wheel for you. Hey, how's that for a joke? Mr. Naya? Ah, man, okay. Good one. Oh, thank you, right? It allows for the management of the customer. ERP and supply chain management. Supply chain management has been defined. I think I won't take on supply chain management. I'll just leave you at customer relationship, the module. The next time we come, I'll talk to you about supply chain management. But just to give you a little heads up and to talk about what we did last week, where we spoke about the assembly line. And if I am assembling a motor vehicle and the final stage is to have the tires put on, then by means of the supply chain management, that I must ensure that I have 4 tires available, so that when the car is finally assembled, the final stage, I now have tires for me to put on the motor vehicle. All right, so I'm going to stop there. I don't know, it's now 15 minutes that I've been recording. Oh my goodness. Our lectures are generally 15 minutes at a time. It's not, I don't want to use so much of your data. And also, the recording, it becomes too long to watch videos that are long than 15 minutes. Right, so now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop the recording. Any questions, anybody? Anyone with a question?